Austin-based interior designer Viki Chupik brings the city's unique spirit into every project she touches. From its rolling hills and cultural quirks to its understated expressions of wealth, Chupik sees Austin as a place where authenticity and individuality still matter. In this conversation, Viki explains how to design for a city in flux. Like most of the cities people flooded to during and post-pandemic, balancing creativity, cultural heritage, and the realities of today's economic pressures is harder than ever. Am I right? Viki Chupik of Chupik Design unpacks Austin's evolving design landscape, from post-pandemic migration and rising costs to the homogenization that takes place when there's a huge influx of people. It kind of takes the special, it can take the special nature away from special places. But that's why designers make it a point to keep it included. She shares how she navigates clients' expectations, resists algorithm-fed aesthetics, and champions designs that are rooted in nature, personal stories, and lasting quality. Along the way, Viki explores functional planning, economic design strategies, and her vision for the future of the American home. We talk about things like the Austin effect, design influence by lifestyle, Austin's cultural capital, Viki Chupik's design fingerprint, which I talk about a lot on this show, design versus trends, the budget reality, functional design in changing times, portable kitchens, and the future of home. We cover a lot, and we're going to get to all of it right after this. At the highest level of design, the absolute best specifying designers, architects, landscape designers are all highly focused on the technology and performance of products and materials today. You have to, because the products you specify for your projects have to perform and they have to last. That's one of the reasons why I am so proud to be working with TimberTech. Their focus on the technical renaissance of synthetic decking is literally changing the conversation about innovation and performance. It pulls focus on three priorities homeowners have and expect from the products their designers and architects specify for their luxury projects. 1. Aesthetics must match the overall design and fit visually. 2. Durability and maintenance. I've told you about my board flipping stories from my own wood decks. Clients not only want beauty, but they want ease of use, and they want it to last for decades. 3. Sustainably made. Clients are more conscious of the environment now, and they want the same of their materials. TimberTech hits each one of these elements with a product that not only meets expectations, they exceed them. TimberTech makes a synthetic decking that looks just like wood, color and embossed wood grain for a natural appearance. Their composite decking is technologically superior, as it has been created to last for decades, and it's manufactured with up to 85% recycled material. Their advanced PVC, vintage, and landmark collections have a Class A flame spread rating, making these products an amazing choice for wildfire-prone areas, which unfortunately continues to grow on the risk map. Check the show notes for more information about this and to find the nearest showroom or lumberyard where you can find TimberTech, or you can check them out directly, timbertech.com. How long have you been? So you've been doing this for over 25 years. How long have you been in Austin?
Born and raised, so I'm with
Wow.
I know,
Okay.
a unicorn.
You're the one.
I'm the unicorn. Yes, 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 yes. I've seen it change for sure.
Yeah, you have. It's funny too because when I lived in LA, native Angelino, I was like the only one who grew up there for the people I knew. Um,
Yep.
Tell me about Austin, how Austin has changed and how it's changed the way that you create.
Um, let's see.
And I say that because you also work elsewhere.
Yes, 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 yes. So Austin has a unique set of properties. We have this beautiful lake that runs through our city, and we're surrounded by hills, green, and it's very atypical of what you'd see in Texas. We get the benefit of attracting a very active, athletic, um, leisure-oriented people. And I'm leading into this because originally Austin was just a little hippie town. It's a government seat, so some of the biggest industry here was the state. There wasn't until Michael Dell tech or industry in this town. So it really was a small little sleepy town. And there was a huge music influence back then and still is today. I think it's woven through our history. And I think people here are very eclectic. They love music, they're active, they want to do things differently. And I think that's what attracts a lot of people that move to Austin. They want a more relaxed, low-key environment where they don't have to dress up, where they can just be who they are. And they want to be able to be themselves. So I think we're lucky in that we attract people that are entrepreneurial, unique, creative, music oriented, art oriented. All of these beautiful little creative souls come into this town, and everybody just wants to put their mark on the city. And so I think that's what makes it so vibrant, and that's what makes it so interesting. And from a design perspective, there are communities that I think spend a lot of time um, showing off what they have. And I say that because you look at Dallas and you look at Houston, and there's so much effort, energy, and resources put towards someone's home and how it appears, and people entertain in them and all of this. And there is a focus of having that home as a trophy or a representation of all the work that you've done. And Austin is a little bit different. The people here want to fly under the radar a little bit if they have high income or a lot of wealth. They're not as flashy, they're not as showy. It's going to be a little bit more understated, and not as flashy, and they just don't prioritize the expense. It sounds strange because there is a lot of wealth here, but they'd rather have a boat on the lake or have a house on the lake, but they have, three other houses somewhere else. So it's interesting. It's an interesting mix, and I love it because the people here, when they're spending money on their home, it really is a reflection of who they are and what they've accomplished, and they want it to be a reflection of them and the travels they've been on and the things that they're interested in. A lot of the projects that I get to work on, we're bringing in, collected treasures from their travels somewhere, or, we're really leaning in on who they are and trying to bring it and weave it into the design of their home. So I don't know. I think Austin is unique in that way. And it's not a cookie cutter. Like when I go to Houston, I feel like there's a look about it. And, a lot of the design just seems to be a repetition of it. But I feel like Austin has such an eclectic mix of people that there's an opportunity for such different kinds of design and different influences and different voices to appear and shine. And I think people really enjoy that. And I think when people are looking at hiring somebody, I think they really are kind of like measuring you up to see if you're going to be able to reflect who they are in your work.
Great points, all. It's really interesting. I love Austin. Back in my radio days when I was in radio in Dallas, I had a kind of a regional position. So every month I went to Houston, every month I went to Austin. This is back in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Um, and late 90s, some things, and I'm getting to a point here, it's taking me a while, but the things that influence the influences that impact your design, and you had mentioned Lake Travis. You
Mhm.
mentioned that it's a government seat, so it's the capital of Texas. So you have all of the things that go along with the capital city,
Mhm.
but you also have UT.
Yes.
You also have the Bats, which is a thing. You also have Sixth Street, which is a thing that has to influence the manner in which people think about a city. You also have this expansion. You mentioned Michael Dell. You have this expansion into Round Rock, which is just kind of that, and Bee Cave, and the manner in which Austin is expanding is both organic,
Mhm.
and there's this overwhelming desire by a lot of people to keep Austin as weird as it was before. And now in a post-pandemic environment, which is still relatively new, but you have all these people from both coasts and the third coast from Chicago. You have everyone kind of coming in now. How do you keep Austin weird in that situation?
Um, it's really funny that that phrase was actually coined. I don't know if you know this or not, but that phrase was coined more so to celebrate local business. And they created that really to celebrate Austin's unique offering, to the world, really, because music put Austin on the map. Literally, ACL, Austin City Limits, put Austin on the map. And I think people are just they keep Austin weird ethos, I want to say, is really about being unique, being creative, offering a different point of view, a worldview that's just a little bit different. And I think it's more accepting. The city itself in Texas as a whole, we call it the blueberry in a sea of red jello. Um, but it truly is, I think, UT brings this beautiful intellectual capital to our city, and all the students that come here, the professors. There's just a lot of intellectual thought. There's I'm so excited. There's this, we've had a boom of artists and creativity that has come to Austin, which I'm extremely proud of. I serve on the board of the Contemporary, and we've watched, artists really come in and celebrate the city because of that inclusiveness and that different worldview and that inclination for people to seek out something that's a little bit different and a little bit unusual and not cookie cutter or not, what you would get everywhere else. So I think, that core of Austin, keep Austin weird, is more about being unique, being creative, offering a different worldview. And I think that's what attracts people here. I think I get, I'm going to circle back to your first question about how the city's grown and the people that have come here. We saw a huge influx of people during COVID. And I kid you not, I used to say, okay, guys, we are closed for business. We're oversubscribed. Please do not come here again. No more, please. But it's kind of funny now that we've kind of flushed out the people who didn't assimilate very well. They've moved on, and the people that have stuck really do embrace this concept of keep Austin weird. And people talk about it being, I laugh at it because the first thing that you think of is maybe just somebody that's very oddly dressed walking down the street or something like that. But I really do think it is rooted in this kind of entrepreneurial spirit, this creative spirit, this spirit that wants to look at life a little bit differently and live life a little bit differently. I do know that most of my clients that move here from New York or, East Coast or West Coast, they really are settling here because they want a slower pace. They want to be able to raise their kids. They want to be able to, wear shorts and flip-flops and, do a ton of business, but, maybe from their office in their home looking out over the lake. So I think this city really embraces this lifestyle of a little more peace, a little more beauty, a little more nature, a slower pace, not such a rat race. And I think that's really what attracts the people, and the people that end up staying truly embrace that and enjoy that part of the city.
You are listening to my conversation with Viki Chupik. We'll be right back. If you've listened to the show for any amount of time, you've heard me say this, that the most important word in the design industry is service. Product is important, price is important, selection is important, but stellar service is the premier idea that can make all the difference in the success of a project, any project. How design professionals like you demand great service and your favorite brands in one place with expert, knowledgeable, and non-commission sales professionals. It's really important. It means that their only incentive is your satisfaction. Pacific Sales, Kitchen and Home, a Best Buy company, has just that with over 60 years of experience in Southern California. Pacific Sales is your destination for exploration, advice, and inspiration. Now, you have the Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home team to help you and offer their Pro Rewards program, which is a trade program unlike any you have experienced before. Earn 3% in Best Buy gift cards, e-gift cards, or 2.5% in rewards checks for every qualified and delivered sale. In addition to special trade pricing, exclusive offers, access to exclusive special events, and so much more than I could possibly tell you about here. And the cherry on top is access to exclusive builder trade incentives from top brands and the stellar service, again, from a company that has been serving the industry for over 60 years. Terms and conditions apply to the Pro Rewards program and builder trade incentives. So visit a Pacific Sales expert at a showroom today for full details and to learn how you can unlock additional savings and benefits. Don't miss out on the opportunity to work with the best of the best. Visit Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home today and elevate your projects to new heights. I am absolutely thrilled to welcome a new sponsor to the program. First of all, because I love new sponsors to the program, but also because this one is something that each and every one of you has been looking for. Loam AI is a company that has its roots in technology and engineering with a passion for high-quality content development. Listen, designers, architects, landscape architects, shelter industry brands, you know that time is the one thing we can't create, right? So how would you like the power of AI in content development programming that allows you to design instead of editing videos, scripting, and writing your content for social media? Loam AI was created by a team of engineers with a passion for creative content development. This is text to video, so you describe it and Loam AI creates it. It's really amazing. You're going to have to check this out. And they make it simple to change content sizes for different social media outlets. How tired are you of trying to resize the content that you create or send it out to a freelancer and keep getting the recharges because it has to be put in different sizes? It's a pain, and Loam AI fixes that. It's easy to use, has US-based support if you need it. Let me rephrase. The support is here in the United States if you need it. Stunning images, realistic voices, built-in captions, and it's simple to use. Sign up and try it for free without a credit card at loam-ai.com. I'll say that again, LOME-AI.com. Simple, inexpensive, text to video, harnessing the power of AI to grow your firm beautifully. I mention that not to throw in the bumper sticker wisdom,
Mhm.
but I think it's important. And I think it's important because this idea, when I think of Austin in particular, Texas in general, and Austin is very different than Texas, but I think about it in terms of there are certain cities in the US that have developed a vibe. I don't want to call it a style. Like LA, where I'm from, it's a vibe. It's an absolute vibe. And because of that, it's constantly changing. one of the things that I love about Austin, traditionally, I think it's changing a little bit, but Austin has always had one foot firmly planted in history with an eye on the future, which means that there's always been this desire to save architectural treasures. There's been a sort of a celebration of Sixth Street, the bats. Nobody tried to eradicate the bats. You incorporate them into the love of the city, which is amazing. Kinky Friedman, Tito Beveridge, I mean, Kyle Bunting.
Yes.
There are there is a feel, there is a vibe. And I bring that up because I think it is imbued in the design and architecture and interior spaces of the city, which then becomes something that can be exported. And for people who don't necessarily want to move to Austin, but they want to hire you as a creative, as a designer, to do their beach house or to do their big sky home,
Right.
their vacation home, or maybe they want they're from Austin, but they're living in LA and they want a touch of Austin
Hmm.
in Manhattan Beach. It's important, and if you can harness that vibe, not all designers can do that.
I agree. And I think what, well, if you talk to any designer, there you have I your worldview, your point of view, your vision that comes through in just about everything that you do. And I mean, I feel like if you're an authentic and true to yourself designer, you're that weaves through just about everything you do. And so being from this place, I feel like those things are in me and they just permeate in what I see and how I see things come together. There's always a little bit layer of this organic nature that filters in. There's a funkiness to some of the things that I juxtapose against each other, things that you wouldn't necessarily put together, but they go together because of either there's one little thing about it that just connects it. And your brain's really funny how it puts things together. And I love to kind of look back over my work. And you see it's kind of amazing because you're not really thinking about it when you're designing, but there is just like a thread that gets woven and it just goes through each project in each room. There's always something that I feel like is left behind that kind of makes this little trail of who you are and where you've been and how you've grown up and what you've seen and what you've experienced and what you truly love. It just kind of comes through. And I think that, being in Austin, this culture that we were just talking about, I think it is nice to be able to bring that point of view to a client and say, hey, you know what? I like to get up in the morning. I like to have my cup of coffee. I want to see this view. I want to be able to sit and think and contemplate and think about the day and, kind of walk people through an idea of what their life could be in an Austin way and try and weave that into their life through the design by creating these little spaces where they can experience life in that way. And I try and do that with my clients. I try and give them these moments of what an Austin lifestyle could be or what it has been for me and my family. And I try and bring that kind of lifestyle to them through the design.
Well, and I think it's important because, and it's so funny, if I were to ask you the question, when I started doing this show, I would ask this question, do you have a style? Do you have a signature style? Which isn't a stupid question. It's a
Right,
pedestrian question. It's a
right.
very basic, rudimentary question that rookies will ask. New reporters, covering design, they'll ask about that. The same way that you would ask a musician or an artist, any creative, really. And it took me a while to learn that while you don't necessarily have a signature style, some do. Kelly
Some
Wersler,
very much do.
that is a distinct style, and that is if you want that, you go to her.
Hmm.
But it's more of a through line. It's more of a fingerprint. that you can look at all the work and it'll all be vastly different. But then you get to the point where people will say, well, it's not what I want, but it's what my client wants. And that is one of the most frustrating things for me to hear because 99.9% of clients have no idea what they want. If they wanted, they would do it themselves.
Right. Or if they could find it themselves, they would do it. Yes.
Yeah, which is why, you have new designers who are worried that AI is going to replace them. AI is not going to replace designers. Designers who know how to use AI are going to replace designers.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, what do you know? And we're going to look at some of your work, but I'm curious, what are your through lines? What is the fingerprint of a Viki Chupik design?
I, you know, I often I do kind of try and think about this because you really, really want to be able to articulate to somebody what they're going to get at the end of the day. And it's a challenging question, but there is always a sense of calm in my spaces. I really do want people to feel like when they're in the space, I want them to just be able to just relax and sink into the room and just enjoy with a sense of peace. I feel like there's a layer of calm without being boring. There's always, I always gravitate to a very organic, there's always something organic, natural, borrowed from nature, found something in every single room that I do. I also gravitate to a more earthy palette in a lot of ways. But I think I'm always thinking about I feel like timeless is something that is always used, a designer uses, and you see it in every single person's, byline. It's timeless interiors. But every selection I make, I'm always asking myself, is this going to be relevant? Will it stand the test of time? Is it going to be something that I still want in my home 10 years from now, 12 years, 20 years from now? And I have projects that I go back to, and I'm like, you still have this here? And they're like, yes, I love it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to change that. So it is something that I'm always asking myself. I don't want to place something that I feel like is of the moment, but I want to take something, make it feel fresh, and have it be something that can sit there and be something that they enjoy for years to come and don't get tired of. So I think timeless really is kind of a cornerstone of my design. I'm placing things that I know that you're not going to look at that house and go, oh, that was, 2020.
As part of that, how do you battle trend? And I preface this by saying I'm probably one of the most vocal uh, about trends, trendiness. I think it's silly. I think it's stupid. Um, there was one I was reading the other day, the cashmere kitchen.
Oh, geez. I think everybody's just looking for, clickbait or something. I don't know. They want to be coined, but I agree with you. I was thinking about that in the shower as I was getting ready today. I think one of the things that drives me absolutely batty about trends is that, with social media, there's just been a homogenization of design. And the algorithm just shows you one thing and it just keeps on showing it to you as if there's nothing else in the world. And so I get so frustrated with my clients because they're bringing me pictures of AI generated crap, basically. And I look at it and I'm just like, this isn't real. First of all, this is, some artist's rendering of something. and it just all looks the same. And so I'm constantly, even sourcing for a project, I'm always like, the algorithm, even in First Dibs, serves you up the same thing over and over and over again. I'm like, I want to see something different, please. Can I buck the system? I'm always trying to buck the system. I'm always trying to be a maverick. I'm always trying to kind of like, what can I do that nobody else is doing? Don't show me the thing that's the most popular. Show me the thing that nobody wants, and I'll take it and make it good. So I think as a designer, it is a challenge to, yeah, buck the system and do something that not everybody's doing. I feel like the trends come in, the Instagram shoves it in your face, Pinterest shoves it in your face, even our sourcing, platforms shove it down your throat. And I think a good designer is asking themselves, how can I deliver something that you haven't seen before? How can I deliver my client this amazing thing? How can I discover something that hasn't been done before? Or how can I use a local artisan that hasn't been discovered yet? How can I put them on a platform and give them an opportunity to show their design, their creativity, their artists, and give them the opportunity to bring something new to the table. And I think as a designer, it's really important to bring that creative mindset and that searching, that maverick mindset to a design and to the process for a client.
What's so interesting about that, I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I think what's interesting about it is it's not easy to do.
No.
When clients are the ones paying the bills, and because design has gotten exponentially more expensive, the costs now are just insane. And it's not just the tariffs and what everyone's thinking about the tariffs.
No.
It's it's the it's the annual price adjustments. It's the delivery charges. It's the material costs. It's the trades to do installs and to do the work. Then you get into the tariffs and this unpredictable nature. But it's also, you know, it's so funny. I was reading an article yesterday, and the headline, it was from Martha Stewart, and the headline was sculleries are making a comeback. If this was 2017, that would be a great headline.
Mhm.
Sculleries have been making a comeback for the last 7 years, 6 years. The idea that you could have a single kitchen based on a triangle anymore is an obsolete concept. This is what designers know, this is what designers see coming, but clients don't really understand what the cost is going to be if your appliances represent, 17% of your kitchen budget, and now you're having 2.5 of everything.
Mhm.
Holy mackerel, if your cabinetry is 29% of your budget, and now you're adding a secondary space with a small kitchen, or you're adding another kitchen as part of a coffee bar or a wine bar
Mhm.
on an ensuite. It adds up. How do you deal with the trendy idea of what clients see everyone else doing and what they want versus the exploding budgets, and the price increases that are coming faster in our industry than than I think anyone saw coming?
I would have to agree with you wholeheartedly. I have one particular project right now that I'm working on, and it's a client that we've done several projects for. And literally over the last 3 years, a 20 to 30% jump in prices. That's it's not sustainable. And I don't know the answer. I wish I did. Because I think in our industry, whether it's construction related, labor, once a price goes up, it never comes back down. It never does. Once the ceiling has been raised, it never comes back down. So everybody just has to adjust up to everything. Um, so I don't know. I mean, I'm selling quality, quality, quality all day long. Um, and, to make a budget work, we have to put in stuff that I wouldn't normally even want to purchase. And I've always been a person that enjoyed quality over quantity. So I'd much rather place a piece that I know is exceptionally beautiful, well made, and will be there for a long time. I'd much rather place a piece like that than a piece that I know will deteriorate in a year or two and will need to be, replaced or whatever. But to answer your question, I think it really does start at the beginning of the project when you're working with the architect. A lot of times designers come in later, but it is my preference, especially from a ground up build, to come in at the very beginning of architecture because you want to start having those conversations when you're talking about, what rooms you're going to use, how you're going to live in it, what you're going to do. And I think you address those questions of, yeah, that's a trendy thing that you see a lot of, but are you actually going to use it? Is it going to get daily use? Is it going to make your life easier? Is it going to exponentially improve your daily experience? And if the answer is no, then maybe that's something you need to pass on. Or maybe we can build in that function somewhere else. Or maybe we can be smart about how we design this kitchen and give you that function that you're desiring in this, special room or whatever that would cost you 3x, but maybe we can carve that out in a smaller space, but give you that function in a very well-designed area that really will serve that purpose and, give you that function for a little bit more of a compact price and budget and floor plan and space in the house. So yeah, I think it is important to be thinking about all these kind of trendy spaces. And I do, it's really funny. I do see here in Austin, it's not necessarily a tightening of square footage, but it is a more mindful approach to how we're going to spend our dollars. And it's not a full-blown huge, bloated square footage house. There's a lot of, at least the architects that I work with, I mean, we're thinking about how can we make something beautiful? How can we maximize views? How can we be mindful of the space that we're using and really, really think about how that square footage gets used so that you don't have a lot of space that just goes goes unused or wasted. Um,
I'm curious too. I have a theory and I want to run it by you,
okay.
and I want your take on this. I believe that we are not far away. I think right now, and you have to take all these things into account. As a designer, you have to think about these things where, at 6.5, 7% interest rates with clients who spent a lot of money on their homes at 2.5 and 3% interest rates, they're sitting on their homes.
Mhm.
And it is more cost effective to redesign, refresh than to move and or rebuild. But I'm curious if I believe that we're entering into this phase where we're going to see more of the Italian cabinetry model, where when people move, they're going to
You take
take
it
their
with
entire
them.
kitchens with them. They're going to take their outdoor kitchens with them. They're going to take their coffee bars with them. When you make an expenditure of that amount, and eventually interest rates will come down and housing will be a thing where people are going to move again. Do you see that happening? And if you do, as a designer, how do you stay in front of that?
It's an interesting concept, and I know, Europeans have that. They have that mindset of we're gonna, and I think Bulltop and some of the high-end kitchen manufacturers, already put that mindset in place. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like real estate and the way that real estate conveys, if it's attached to the house or the wall, it conveys with the house. But I think it would be really strange for someone to buy a house and there not be a kitchen. I don't know, but and then will that piece fit into the new space? The concept of it is really interesting and would allow you to, really tailor fit a design or a space to your own liking and configuration and be able to take it with you. I wonder. I don't know. I don't know if we're that close to it, but I do know that people, I mean, they do want to take nice things with them. So if they've invested in it, they want to, bring it along with them, whether it's, a light fixture or, a piece of furniture. Maybe less built-ins start happening. Maybe it's a piece that, yeah, can convey. The concept of this kitchen, that scullery kitchen, or a kitchen that is made of parts and pieces, like an island on, wheels or whatever. I mean, you do see that. The idea of it is really, really interesting. I don't know.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because I believe, now that the value of dirt has gotten greater, has become greater than the value of the home itself,
Hmm.
you're kind of there.
Yeah.
The math changes.
And do we just start building these white boxes that can be adorned in any way you want, and you carve out space, almost like loft space without, walls or rooms and things like that?
Or maybe it's not just the white box project, but maybe it is maybe a kitchen size on a new residential. Look, I mean, again, back to Southern California, when all the GIs came home from World War II and you have these model communities, every house was built exactly the same. Tract housing is basically that concept where every kitchen is the same size, but then you get to select your color palette and your
Hmm.
upgrades. There's something to be said for that. And I don't know, I'm not trying to change the industry. I
No,
just think,
I think it's a very interesting concept. And, you know, like you said, I mean, as things grow more and more expensive, the premise is, are we as a society going to be as nomadic as we've been and grow more nomadic, or are we going to stay put? And I think that if a society has to be nomadic, whether it's climate change, moving to other spaces that are, more habitable to you, are we going to become more nomadic in that way? And if we are, maybe those things start carrying with us. Maybe we start bringing along half the house with us. Yeah.
yeah. And I bring it up with you because I think it's relevant, as a designer to look at, and look, designers, it's so funny. When I started doing the show in 2013, at that time, every designer wanted a line, they wanted an HGTV show, and they wanted a cover. That's it.
And
That's what
then
they wanted.
check the box and you're done and you can retire tomorrow.
Well, at the time, and it wasn't that long ago, right? 12, 13 years
Mhm.
ago, at the time, if you got those three things, you were set as a
Right.
designer. The clients would just come to you. If you had an HGTV show, I've talked to clients would just come to you, like saw them on HGTV. It was a license to bring clients, right? It's like the
Sure.
mint. I feel like that's changed a little bit. You as a designer, what do you want?
It's really funny. I being in the business and as long as I have, and seeing the ebbs and flows of things, and I'm probably I'm not the viewpoint every designer has. I mean, we all are searching for that one thing we can do that brings mailbox money in. We're all searching for it because charging by the hour it's a slog. It is hard work. Um, but I don't necessarily, as a designer, want a huge team. I want, you know, I want to be able to work with people that I genuinely enjoy and I really like. And I want the luxury of being able to say no to the ones that I don't want to work on. And as you get older, you get better and better at figuring out pretty early on who's a good fit and who's not a good fit. And for me, I like a smaller team that I don't have to spend all my time chasing new work to fill the pipeline to pay the people. So I want a really small, efficient team, and I want great projects that truly appreciate you for what you do and let you have the latitude to create beautiful things. And at the end of the day, I think too I mean, we are a service industry. Everything that we do, it's service. So I really love taking care of my clients and loving on my clients and being a part of their life and really, really delivering not just a sofa, but delivering them a lifestyle and taking care of them. And in order to do that, you have to have these deep, deep relationships with people, and that takes time and that takes quality. I can't just shove them off to a junior designer and hope it all works out.
What does mailbox money look like to you? What's the model?
Well, I think it's really interesting because I did try. I did try right after COVID. I created a brand, a product to deliver interior specifications for new construction projects. So people could go online and say, oh, I like that, and download it and get all the specs for a project and use whatever they want on their new house, but at an affordable price. And I really thought that that was something that would resonate with people. But what I came to find out after selling it and doing it, is people really do want to change it. And so that scalable model of make it once and sell it a million times didn't necessarily work out as well as I had hoped. So me, it's make it once and sell it a million times. That's mailbox money. But yeah, I've been thinking about that too, as to what, I think designers have things that they do over and over again that tend to be either they become something that they're known for, or it's something that they do really well, and try to turn it into something that somebody else can buy, I think is always a good idea, whether it's, if you love hardware, it's, custom designed hardware piece or something that can be sold that you're not having to go out and do yourself all the time. But I don't think I'm a book person. I don't think I'm going to have a book coming out anytime soon. But I am product design really is kind of in the back of my mind.
Interesting.
Oh, did I
Was
lose
that
you?
peaked? Was that peaked?
Picked. Yes, picked.
Picked.
Yes, picked.
Okay.
Yes. I'm holding on to it because I think I might bring it back, but I'd have to have a big team. What I found out is that just keeping up with current SKUs and making sure that the specs are all active, because what we delivered was a spec package that they could just go through and click a link, go to the manufacturer's website and purchase direct. So we were selecting things that were readily available to anybody, anywhere. So the idea of creating this spec package for interior finishes, meaning tile, hardwoods, lighting, hardware, all those things. We had to narrow it down to, is it available in Alaska as easily as it is in New York? So we were narrowing our selections, and then we come to find out those SKUs or those website links change all the time. So I had to have a whole back office just scouring all the selection packages and making sure they're current. Uh,
Was the idea that you would transfer your designer discount and then everything purchased would go through your company?
So we didn't supply any materials at all. You were responsible. Basically, our idea was we'll just tell you what goes together, and any builder anywhere can get this anywhere,
I see.
basically. So it was on them to execute or their builder to execute. I mean, essentially the idea was to hand over the spec package to your builder, let your builder use all those specifications, create your budget, and then you're off to the races. And you don't have to wait. There's no time spent agonizing at showrooms or uh, Floor and Decor or Home Depot or any of those places. And it all works together. So I still think the idea is great. It just was a bigger operation than I was willing to put time into.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I wanted to shift over to some of your work,
Mhm.
because it kind of goes back to that idea, the through lines and the fingerprints. And one of the one of the things, so every year,
Uh-huh.
one of the trends that is always on both lists of things that you're going to see next year and you're not going to see next year is the white
Right.
kitchen. The white
Right.
kitchen is always on both. And I saw this kitchen of yours. What project? The Wooldridge residence.
Yes.
And I saw this kitchen and I absolutely love it because it speaks to the whole idea of the white kitchen. It's minimal and seamless. It's gorgeous, but it's you have this black and white kitchen, which I think is a completely different concept. I kind of
Mhm.
wanted you to walk me through this kitchen, the motivation, the specification, the why behind it, because I just believe that there's always a why. When it gets to the kitchen, there's always reasons why things are done.
Sure. Sure. And I have to tell you, so I'm going to say timeless here because that kitchen's 15 years old.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We are working on a refresh for this client right now, but so that particular kitchen was very much an open concept kitchen. You saw it the minute you walked in the door. Um, in a living room, there's a space off the kitchen that had a fireplace in it for the couple to sit, wake up, have their cup of coffee every morning. So it was the central hub of the house. The kids came down the stairs barreling right into this kitchen. Um, it had to be formal enough to be in that space, open to, guests as they come in, but also function. I'm a big advocate of a long island with a cooktop behind. I think it's super functional. We hid a lot of refrigeration and storage within the cabinetry that you see there. But the soapstone, I think, is the showstopper, right? It's bold, but it's also super functional. I loved that this particular client, they came from New York and they just wanted to be able to live in their space. They wanted their kids, their dogs to be able to live in there, and they wanted to not have to feel like everything was really precious. But they wanted it to look nice. So, our selections were definitely things that would patina, but patina in a good way. And also, not be so precious that you had to constantly be worried about, am I going to scratch this or is it going to leave a mark or anything like that? What other things about that kitchen? I think the thing about that kitchen is we spent a lot of time talking about how they were going to live and use it, and so we designed very specific functions and areas where meal prep goes on and where you're storing cookies and baking and things like that. Behind the cooktop is on the other side of that cabinetry. That particular cabinetry floats in the room. And on the other side is a full wall of storage for pantry and things like that. So it was a very interesting design and layout. And as we're revisiting it 15 years later, we have added exactly what you're talking about. There was a room that my client used as an office off the kitchen, but it was a very big office. Um, and we've converted that into a pantry, kind of like a dirty pantry where she can have, appliances out on the countertop and toasters and smoothie makers and things like that. But she can also close the door when people are there. So it was very much an open plan that has evolved into providing a little bit of space for some messiness to happen with the door closed.
What I find interesting too is a couple of things. And when you put it in context that this was designed 15 years ago,
Mhm,
it adds so much more gravity to the work. It really, really does. But
mhm.
a couple of questions for you. So the symmetry of
Yes.
in the design, I think is stunning. And by the way, yes, this is a podcast. So if you're listening and you want to go see it, go to chupikdesign.com. You can also find a link in the show notes. So the symmetry here is amazing. The dual waterfall is amazing. Question: I is there dual refrigeration panel ready, or is it one side refrigeration and the other side storage?
Exactly that. One side refrigeration and the other side is storage pantry. Yeah.
When you designed this space, were you thinking about it? Because it's 15 years ago. Were you thinking about a triangle, or were you thinking about zones at that time?
You know, you, I'm a really big cook, a gourmet chef. I mean, I like a tight space. I like to be able to reach, turn, and do. But I'm very mindful of, where I'm chopping. I need to have a trash can right by me. I need to have water. I need to have, we thought about zones and what action was going to go in each little zone. We put a trash can in the chopping zone, but we also have these point of use refrigeration drawers for them to have produce. So, like if I'm sitting and I'm doing prepping all these vegetables and things like that, I love having a point of use refrigeration drawer with all my fresh vegetables, fruits, vegetables, and everything right there. Even though the refrigerator is right behind me in that particular space, I've really kind of narrowed down, so that you're not walking 10 steps to get something. I think my pet peeve is a kitchen that is just so big and has so much storage that you're walking around the island going. I recently took on a project in Aspen that was built, gosh, in the 90s or whatever. And I kept scratching my head at the kitchen because it was like, I got to go way over here to go wash the dishes, but then I got to go way over here to put it up. I'm like, oh my goodness, these people were not thinking. But, I think sometimes constraint, and this is something I really do believe in. I think constraint makes for better design on all fronts. Because when you are limited by either space, materiality, budget, whatever it is, it just makes you get more creative. It gets you to think harder about how something functions. And you really, if you can get it done in a very compact space that feels grand, I think to me that's like perfect. It's perfection if you can execute like that.
So a couple of questions for you. Because,
Okay.
and again, knowing now that you did this 15 years ago, I love this. So you mentioned refrigeration drawers.
Mhm.
Were those available to you
Yep.
15 years ago? They
Yep.
were.
Sub-zero. Of course, they've been
Really
that long.
amazing. And two-part, how did everything wear and what would you change?
You know, funny you ask. When I go back, and this house is like, I mean, they've raised kids in this house and they have two big dogs and they just barrel through the house. And, kids have grown up there. One's in high school, one's in middle school. And when they started, they were, young kids, not even in elementary school yet. So it has been really fun to watch and see what hasn't worn and what has. We did these polished nickel tab pulls in the kitchen because usually I like very minimal. I like a minimal house. I mean, I just like things really clean and simple. But those tab pulls, the polished nickel, I can see fingerprints on them and it drives me absolutely batty every time I go over there. I just want to bring a little tube of polish with me and just go to town and clean it up. I swear I can't help I do that. When I go back to visit my client's house, I'm always like, let me just adjust this picture real quick. Do you mind if I wipe this off? It's my critical eye that just comes out. I don't know what it is. I can walk in a room and I'll see one thing that's off, and my eye goes straight to it. And I'm just like, oh my God, I wish I never saw that. But I do think finishes, because they do kind of ebb and flow with current trends, I do usually try and stick to something that's been around for forever. I always tell people, the three finishes that are never going to go out of style: chrome, it's been around forever; brass, unlacquered; and polished nickel. Those three, you can't go wrong with one of those decisions because they've been around forever.
Did you say polished nickel?
Yeah.
Even though you hate it?
Well, I don't hate it. I just think that the fingerprints on the particular polished nickel tab pulls, because you see the dirt that lands on the tab pull, the top
Yeah.
of it, that's what drives me crazy. Like I would probably choose something different today for them.
What's new to you that you are absolutely loving?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask a question like this. So the Libra in me can never give a straight answer on this because I see both sides of the fence. Um, I, I think I don't want to say trends, but I do love that there is an appreciation for, and I think it's just a pendulum swing for us, but I do think that anything that is handmade, crafted, that you can see the artisan's fingerprint on it or their touch, that to me is exciting and new because we have so much, fast fashion, fast design, things that have been mass produced or things that are cheap that come into play. But if something that really kind of has a human touch to it, I think is exciting to me. Um, I do love one of the other things that I do love. Speaking of designing kitchens, I've been really loving designing Gagano kitchens with these um, module cooktop pieces that you can custom configure for clients to do certain types of, cooking. I mean, this is only for a chef driven client, but I love that you can configure, 6 feet of cooking, which is incredible to me to have, these point specific little modules that do different things. I do love that. But I think new to me is something that is handmade or beautiful.
Well, it's interesting because while you were saying that, I was looking at the Terrytown residence.
Uh-huh.
When was that done?
That one was finished right. We were building it during COVID.
Okay, because I'm looking at that hearth,
Uh-huh. Is that
which
not incredible?
it's amazing. It's amazing. Is that strike?
No, that is a custom plaster fireplace that we designed, the architect and I.
I love it. Absolutely. Well, and again, that
It's
speaks to kind of the
hand touched.
handmade.
Yes,
Yeah,
my plaster guy is incredible and such an artist, and he worked really hard to make that vision come to life. And there were, guys in there just pulling plaster with a trowel to get that scallop detail and,
yeah.
putting it together. So
I
yes,
love it. I really do. And then going into the kitchen. So looking at that kitchen again, it is a white kitchen,
it is a white kitchen.
and I'm loving it. Um, a couple of things is again, the symmetry
Mhm.
of the space, and you can see while it's a white kitchen, there is the warmth of wood, and it looks like some handmade. So I can see it with this kitchen too. It looks like I'm assuming panel ready refrigeration,
Yes, all hidden. Yes.
all hidden, ton of storage. I love your lighting plan, and I love too that because you have a high ceiling here with beams, that you took advantage of the beams for the lighting plan. Love that.
Yes. And we had to custom design a steel bracket to hold those pendant lights, those plaster pendant lights.
Oh, they're plaster.
Yes, they're
Wow.
plaster. Yes, with a hand done handmade steel, or not steel, brass, blackened brass chain. Yes. And the bracket was had to cantilever out over the beam, and we had to hide the wiring in the bracket, in the steel bracket, embed it, and then the so that the wire could just hang down over where you wanted it on the island.
I love that. I love that. I really do. Very, very cool. And this house is really highly collected. It looks highly collected.
Crazy. Every stick of everything in there was
No kidding.
new to the client. Yes,
Huh.
yes. And this particular client, I love telling this story because she's such a beautiful, beautiful soul. I love her to death. Um, but originally, we started the project. She was not married yet, and fairly young. And she said, full confession, I have the taste of an adult toddler. My favorite colors are baby pink and baby blue. And I said, well, then, that's a challenge I will accept. And how to weave in her desire. She was a young woman at the time, 23, 24. And this was her first house. And I wanted to create something that would grow with her and be something that she didn't know she wanted until she grew into it. So my hope was that I checked the box on delivering her vision for her favorite colors, but also in a kind of more mature, sophisticated, chic way. And I think it turned out beautiful, and she loves it. She absolutely loves it, and
Well,
she's
I could
married
see,
now. So
and I could see why. What does her husband think?
I think he just goes along with whatever she wants to do.
Perfect.
She's the princess. She gets to do whatever she wants.
That is awesome. And Vicky, this was so much fun. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. I mean, what a joy. What a joy to get to talk to you. And I swear I didn't know you've been doing this for that long. That's incredible for you. Congratulations for keeping it going.
Thank you. Thank you. It's funny because, like you, when you've been doing something for a long time, you kind of forget the slog,
Hmm.
and it's just kind of what you do. And one of the things that I absolutely love is talking to people like you who have been doing this at a high level for so long. Just looking back and seeing what was done then, and that it does stand the test of time. I
Hmm.
absolutely love it. So thank you. This was fantastic. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
you're welcome. Such a joy. Thank you so much. And come see me in Austin. I'll take you to dinner.
Oh, done.
Yes.
The Design Hardware Showroom is a space where specifiers can go and find an incredible selection of high-end faucets, luxury tile, natural stone, wood floors, and bespoke hardware, and so much more. Select products are presented in a holistic manner, strategically arranged to stimulate creativity and transition your vision from the conceptual stage to a fully realized space. You will find everything you're looking for, even the products by brands you didn't know you didn't know. Surprise and delight. Am I right? all under one roof on 3rd Street in Los Angeles, just up the street from the Grove. Conveniently located, free parking available. Stop by to find inspiration, collect samples, get expert advice, and tackle everything on your specification list all in one place. Visit them online at designhardware.com, at Design Hardware and Flooring on the socials, or in the real world, 6053 West 3rd Street in Los Angeles. Thank you, Viki. Amazing. Loved our chat and appreciate the time. Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, and I hope you did, enjoy it even more as you share it with others who can enjoy it as much as you did. That's a lot of enjoyment. Am I right? So share it with a friend or colleague who loves design and architecture as much as you. Subscribe to Convo by Design wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and continue. Let's continue this conversation on Instagram at Convo by Design with an X. Keep those emails coming. convobydesign@outlook.com. And thank you to my partner sponsors, TimberTech, the AZEK Company, Pacific Sales, Best Buy, Loam AI, and Design Hardware. These companies support the shelter industry, so let's give them an opportunity on your next project. Please. Thank you again for listening. Until next time, be well, stay focused, and rise above the chaos.